We have a rather provocative first topic here. This came from a writer at WEEI.com in Boston. The name is Ken Laird. His contention was, and he did a column, and his opening line was, Ted Williams went to war, Mike Trout went back to bed. His contention is that sports owes, for the greater good, every effort they can to go back and do something to create a diversion for the general public. Tariq, first impressions of such a philosophy?
Well, I know what he wants. He's a sports writer. He wants what we want. Just like fans, we want to see sports again. But for the greater good, we're all supposed to be at home. For the greater good, we're supposed to be washing our hands. For the greater good, we're supposed to be doing what we think is best for our family and our community right now. And I'm sorry. Listen, I love sports just like everybody else. But there are certain things that take precedence over it. And yes, it would be a great distraction to have an NBA Finals game. It would be a great distraction to have an NHL hockey game. There would be something to look forward to at the end of the night, and people could have something else to talk about. But that's not where we are. This is not like when Ted Williams had to go to war and we knew who the enemy was. This is a brand new, fresh enemy that has no name, that has no face, and we've never seen before. So, of course, we're going to be looking at this a little bit differently. Now, if you're asking Mike Trout to go out there and do what some of the nurses and doctors do, then I guess he's trying to help out. But this is not the same comparison as going to war.
Pat, for the sake of argument, let's assume that we could create this biosphere that they talk about. You could send everyone to Arizona, keep them in the same hotels, play at the same ballpark, and make this work so that it's relatively safe for the athletes. If you give them that, is there any point to be made here?
Okay, fine, but there's a lot of ifs and buts, and if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, I wouldn't be going to Wegmans every 2 weeks because I'm only allowed to go every 2 weeks with the pandemic. Listen, I mean, Bill, I want to see sports too. I want to see it, but this is the stupidest statement I've maybe ever heard in my entire life. Let's use the Ted Williams analogy, right? The reason Ted Williams goes off to war is because of a patriotic duty that he felt within himself, but there was also optics involved in it. Ted Williams actually was in combat. He went and he flew planes not only in World War II, but in Korea. But there were other professional athletes and celebrities who went off to war and essentially went on tours because they needed American men to step up and feel like they were making a difference. They were setting an example. And the example that should be set right now by Mike Trout or Tom Brady or Jack Eichel, whoever, is stay home. What kind of message are you sending if you start opening these things up again? And here would be my concern. Let's say you even do it within some kind of biosphere or the NFL decides to play games without fans saying it's safe. Based on what I saw countrywide earlier this week with the protest outside, the second that you have a professional sporting event, there will be people with signs in jerseys outside demanding that they get let in, knowing they're fully they're not going to get let in. But they're going to make a point to say, well, if they're able to do it, it's totally fine. And it creates this slippery slope of, well, if the players are able to play and nothing is happening, well, why can't we go back to our daily lives? And then it gets dangerous, to Tariq's point, because we still don't fully understand what is happening here. Like, it just sounds like some crotchety old guy trying to get attention for himself who cannot fully wrap his head around what is going on here, Bill.
But I make that case while the governors in Florida and Georgia are opening up their states, because they make the same argument. They said, look, if they can do it, we can create an atmosphere that's far more safe than the beach in Jacksonville. We ought to be able to do it.
And if it works, kudos to them. I mean, if we are 2-3 months from now in a better situation where the numbers have gone down, we feel that we're past it, maybe we can salvage what's left of a baseball season. But we're not there yet. We're not actually at a point where we can feel comfortable just getting out of our cars. To Duffy's point, we have to wear a mask to go into a supermarket, for crying out loud. So we're asking people to do what? Sign waivers to say, hey, I will go into a stadium, I will assume the risk and just so I can watch baseball.
Clayton Kershaw makes that statement. He doesn't want to leave his family for 4 months. And there's valid reason behind that. That isn't just, I want to lay in bed. God forbid something happens to a family member where he's locked in some biodome playing baseball. God forbid he goes. Someone gets sick. They have to send them all home. And now he's bringing something home to his family and neighbors and friends. For goodness sake, I want sports as much as the next person. But if you're going to do it at the expense of public health, it's not worth it.